defying all the laws, doing impossible things with impossible paws, rolling on impossible wheels, flying with impossible wings. I had an idea so great.
All right, that's I love that song. I love that thing that we have a theme song. And thank you a million times to Jim Luan for that. I really appreciate it immensely. Okay, Corbin, what do you think? You have anything to add? You want to say hello to anybody? Corbin's with me in the studio. Hey, look out, everybody. It's a good friend, Frank. How you doing, sir? Okay, so up on the screen, I've got the page for today, and with that in mind, so that's 5 pages now in our 1-page suggestions that we're linking together under a larger narrative. And so I would, in my suggestion, this takes place before the other pages, because why not? And so when put in order, it looks like this now with the first page. And I tried to do something different again as well here. So one of the pages recontextualizes the page before it and makes you think that, this is, everything's normal except for, come on over, Corbin. Everything's normal except for the fact that, the soldier piece of the story is actually a video game. And so with that in mind, I wanted to do that again. I wanted to recontextualize things a little bit again and make people question a little bit again. So this page has somebody dropping out of the sky, landing on the ground, and then running and leaping again on the page. And that the entirety of this page is the entirety of this page is very much separated from the suggestion. The suggestion was a page, we need a Gordon Ramsay page. And that was suggested by Paula. And thank you very much for that, Paula. And so, our character is doing some rather impressive physical actions, but while they're doing so, they're thinking about this Gordon Ramsay. So it's a fun suggestion. We need a page about this person. My initial thought was I would draw an entire page of him getting hit in the face repeatedly with a frying pan. And then I thought, that is crazy violent, Christopher. What? Don't be doing things like that. And Corbin said, hey, that ain't cool, man. Didn't you? Yeah. And so I opted for an alternative approach because we don't need any of that unnecessariness. So Corbin and I we've got 5 of these pages that when read together are part of a larger narrative, but when read independently are able to stand on their own. And so I'm having fun with this experiment. It's a fun approach to having to structure a larger story. And I was considering that this might be like so I have a stream of consciousness book that I'm finishing off. And a stream of consciousness book is really whatever I felt like drawing next. This is not entirely dissimilar from that. It's just not. It's the 1-page stories as their own unique independent thing is always the intent, but to be able to fit that overarching narrative in there, now it makes it sort of there's a fun thing that happens where there's an incongruousness, but at the same time it's very much all linked together. So anyhow, so we've done The first page here is the marker pen method that I've talked about just using two tools in order to just quick rough sketch things out. The second page is a mixed media page on a brayer off piece of paper. The third one is a ballpoint and ballpoint alone drawing on a cardstock. The fourth one is pencil line art that's then entirely digitally colored. And then the fifth one is white mark making tools on a black cardstock. So shaking it up, in the words of Rick Ocasek, shake it up. Okay, so yeah, so there we go. So there's, the original stuff. I actually ended up drawing 2 pages for this because I wanted to be able to modify where these guys were allocated on this larger image. So, yeah, so there we go. So we got all this jazz to pile up. And, but yeah, quite happy with how things are going. So I've been considering okay, last night at the Wall of Marts, they're selling 8 packs. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 packs of Posca pens for half the price that they're normally sold at. And yeah, I bought a set. So very happy with that. And so now we've got, so let's just do our page today with paint markers and see where that takes us. So I've got a couple of different surfaces. Frankly says, I'm happy that you're happy. Oh, thanks, Frank. I hope you're happy. And I'd be happy if you were. So yeah, I'm happy that you're happy. And I'm happy you're happy. Yeah, so I can't normally afford Posca pens for the most part because they're absurdly expensive. And, other people have different accommodation, can do so, but not this guy. So I really was quite pleased to find these at such a price. So it's my first set of Posca pens that I bought, as opposed to buying singular pens, one after the other, at different occasions, and eventually assembling a basic color wheel. Well, now I've got the 8-pack that goes with it. In addition to that, I have bought some of the more generic kinds. Now, this is also by the same company as Posca. It's just the cheap version, so I've picked up some of these before. But I looked at a set of this, which is sold at Walmart, a set like a 6-pack of these, and then I looked down the aisle and went, "Oh my heavens! Are those Posca paints for that price? Did somebody price that wrong? Grab it and run!" Yeah, so there's still, if you're in London, in the London area, Walmart, Huron and Highbury, there's still 5 packs there. So Frank has a white Posca pen that he was sent by Didi. I treasure it. Yeah, I've been going through white Poscas like a wood chipper. So we've got a few different surfaces that we can work on here. So this is a brayer off surfaces, and these were sent to me by Yolanda, or Devon Rex for Art. So she's printed up a whole bunch of these, and she mailed them to me. I think this is the layout of her house. So, and some printed pages. So these are great, but Frank's going to hail an Uber to London right away. If they're as much as they were here, they're about a nickel American, Frank. So bring some American money. Anyhow, these are fantastic. But I'm wondering if I need to go a different direction and work on a flat base color paper. Just for this one. And maybe we'll come back and work on top of one of these jelly plated or brayer off surfaces for what I would arguably say is probably the last page for this narrative arc. Right, Corbin? That's right. Okay, so Corbin, Tune in. Here. He's just having adventures right now around the studio. Okay, so here we go. We got red. I just picked the red. If I could also, I just worked in blue, so I want to get out of blue. And we've got a page with a yellow base. So why don't we go for the third primary? So I still got a bunch of suggestions from the comic conventions that I've been at recently. You know, and as a guest, I have a little box that I put on the table and say, if you got a suggestion, fill it out and throw it in the box. And so we got a fair amount of suggestions out of those. So that I'm still working through. But so we are now, we're 2 years. Well, it's still less than 2 years, but this is 650 of these one-page suggestions that we've got in a row. So yeah, thank you very much for all the suggestions, folks, and keep them coming in because I'll keep on doing them. So yeah, so I'm just flipping through here and trying to get a hold of some of these older suggestions that I'm still trying to finish off. But you can see, if you look through the book, all the check marks are things that are already done. So it gets trickier. And I have a number of cats suggestions, by the way, piling up. So I have plenty of cat pages that I could be doing. But Corbin's like, man, ain't that enough cats for now? Is that right, Corbin? Yeah. So, so we're just plodding along. Wow, check. This is great. So there's a suggestion here called The Life of Perming, which is really funny to me. I don't know what I would do with that, but it's a funny suggestion. There's some more cats. That's a kitten. That's a cat. Frank says, I must take my leave. Have a good Maple Day. Hey, have a great day, Franklin. Thank you for stopping in. It's great to see you. So, comic about the seedy underbelly of Candyland. That's a fun suggestion from Marsh. Oh, these are some great suggestions. I want all of them to have their own merit. Crank calls. That's fun too. Okay, well, how about this? This is random, but this is somebody who comes to the London Comic Jams here in London, and named Chris. And so his suggestion is a local apocalypse revelation. I think that would be apocalyptic. Local apocalypse revelation playing out in one guy's apartment. It's crazy. It's out of control. So let me type that here into the chat, and so then that way people can see what's going down with the pages that we're working on. And local apocalyptic playing out in one guy's apartment. So I have it's funny, his initials are the same as mine. Okay, so I have a book actually, and it is the entirety of the Book of Revelations as somebody's interpreted the entirety of the Book of Revelation. And he's an artist and writer that does a book named Al Columbia, and he does a book called Pim and Francie, which is very confrontational. A lot of challenging subject matter. but it's just macabre and dark and so he does the Book of Revelation, and in the course of doing the Book of Revelation, he puts visual elements to some of the rather fever dreamish information and characters that are in that book, and I've always found it very interesting, but it's really, I can't show it to you because it's awkward. It's just a big old awkward book. And I'm going to get this. I got a new poster read. We got to get started. Come on, buddy. I just want to check off the suggestion for today. But will it let me? No. Bingo. There we go. So, okay. So I'm just checking out that suggestion before I forget to do so, and I do that a fair amount. Okay, so we've got our suggestion for today, and thank you, Chris, for this suggestion. I think it's interesting. But like I said, Al Columbia's version of the Book of Revelation, I just can't show because it's so over the top. And I've always thought that I'm concerned about people that take that book to be literal symbols of things that are going to happen, because it's a nightmare. It's nightmare fuel. It's pure, absolute, crazy nightmare fuel. And why anyone would want that or look forward to that, I just don't know. So, yeah, it's one of those things. Now here's the Poscas that's not a Posca. Here's the Poscas that I've got to use. There we go. So you're not a Posca either. Get out of there. So I've got a fair amount at this point. So we're going to be utilizing these. I don't have a yellow. Well, I do now, but okay. Here we go. There were some that were buried. I got another green. I got a blue and black. So there, still don't have a yellow. Corbin, what'd you do with the yellow Posca? Corbin. Okay, so this is what I've got to use. This is my palette, and it's primaries basically. I mean, there's very little. We've got a cream color, a light blue, a pink. But aside from that, it's blue, red, yellow, black, white, and green. So, yeah. So we're going to try to do our story with this. The suggestion, local apocalyptic revelation playing out in one guy's apartment. And I have to fit this into what this larger narrative is. And that's for a crew of 4 video game people that die in the game they're or are perceived to die in the game that they're playing. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to try to incorporate this. Now, I also have a couple of orange smaller paint markers, and I think I might use those as, the mechanism for me to put together whatever, we're going to do for this page. So a guy, local apocalyptic revelation playing out in one guy's apartment. All right, so let's get cracking. If anybody else has suggestions that they want to throw at me, please feel free to do so. I'm keen like a jelly bean. All right, so why don't we start with this, an old fella reading. I might need to turn. I think that's much better for the light, and I'm sorry for that. It doesn't matter whether I'm bright or not. Okay, so I'm gonna draw a fella on his phone, and that's how we'll start it out. And he's reading, because a lot of people read on their phones now. I don't, but a lot of people do. Yeah, you got some juice. You got some juice. Okay. So so that's what we'll approach here. Or maybe not. Maybe we'll just get down to it, because that orange is going to be disagreeable. So I've got this beige, And in other languages, it's beige, 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 and beige. So we're going to call it beige just to keep it simple. So I'm just going to start drawing in this fella's face, and I'm going to use, similar to drawing white on black, where I use the black cardstock to define the line art. We're going to do something similar, but the nice thing that we can do here is have the red peek through and have that give us that sort of intermediate value, because we'll add a little bit on top of it. Now we've got a red Posca that we can put in there, but we've also got a nice yellow one now, so that we can do some interesting things. Does it have to look like it's, in this context, we can truly take some license in the colors that we're using to represent the skin and such for our character. It doesn't necessarily have to be a properly blended set of realistic values. We're going to take some extreme license and some pop coloring. There was a London artist. He moved away from London, but he was in London at the time, named John Boyle. And John Boyle, a Canadian painter, he would paint with these really, really solid values, and and root things down to a base tone. And so this section over here would be purple, and this here would be light purple, and this over here would be like a rime of orange around it. And he would make his compositions with these base colors, and I always thought it was really, really interesting. The first time I saw it, I don't quite get it, because I'm looking at it in the book, and then I saw it in person and went, oh, in person there's this sort of brilliance that shines out of that. So, but sometimes that's what it takes, is you have to see the work in front of you for you to have truly enough clarity to have some sort of larger appreciation for it. Although every time I hear people say that they went to Europe and they saw these, historical pieces, and they're all like, it's so small, like Vermeer's or the Mona Lisa, right? They're so small, it's ridiculous. And then you got paintings like the wreck of the Medusa, and that's a massive, massive painting. So when you look in a book and you're like, it took this person 2 years to paint a picture, and then when you see it in person, you realize, oh my heavens, that's an entire wall of this building, So that's the flip side of it, I guess. No in betweens, either gigantic or tiny. It's not true. There's all kinds of in between. So I'm drawing this fella, and I'm just finding some of the shapes that make up his face here. I'm liking to draw. I did a grandpa page earlier in this narrative, and I really enjoy all of the crags and cracks and aging lines and faces. And so, I get to do a little bit of that. I'm a happy monkey. So here's doing his faces. He's reading off of his phone. So I'll put the value down, and then I'll brush it with my finger in order to diffuse that value. Take the opacity out of it. Because when working on a darker base, even when we're working on a light base, those blends, those diffused values in between, you can get some interesting results there. Okay, so here's our fella. There's his upper lip. And I think I gotta explore how to do these crag lines and these folds in the face. That will make him happy. If we make him happy, it can't be that bad. Ah! Okay, so that's coming. I'm feeling good with that. That's coming together. So I'm going to throw some yellow and white and some red into these features as well. But I just want to get the mane of the face put down here, put in the expression. So happy grandpa. Happy grandpa. And then a nice line across the cheek here. Yeah. There we go. So I'm going to come in with some more colors in a second. Now I did a page that's in Alphabet Book. Where is that? I'll show you. Excuse me, Corbin. I did a page that's included in Alphabet Book that has a similar application where I'm drawing on a. Here we go. So I'm drawing on a dark blue paper here, and then working these light values on top of that. And I really like that effect. I really like. So you can see how I leave the blue out inside of here. I really like how that comes together, how that effect works out, because it just gives a sort of richness to it. You know, thing. There we go. Are you? Yeah, you're engaged. So I'm going to come in and put some yellow hits in here. Just give little directional shapes to some of these shadows. It makes it more interesting looking. Like I say, it doesn't have to be. We're having fun. This is kind of a poppy approach to illustrating. From my norm, you know, I tend to draw somewhat representative colors, paint color, whatever you want to call it, into compositions. I'm just going to come in. I've got a white to come in with and start pulling some emphasis points on the surface so that whereas a darker value pushes it back, a lighter value pulls it forward. So I found out yesterday that people haven't been getting my notifications. And you got to give me your notifications. And I'm like, I have nothing to do with that. That's the robots. That's the thinking machines. So can't climb up there, bud. He's bound and determined to. I got Corbin sitting on my arm again. Okay, so there we go. Just an extra piece of skin there, that part of the face. So we'll put some hair on this fella, and then we'll come through with a white, start pulling out some hair and such in there. It's when I'm drawing with these Poscas, it's very dissimilar to how I work with paint when I'm have brushes. Very, very different. And so it's kind of having to retool yourself as you're going along. Sorry for the banging. Okay, so I got a white Posca in here. This might be the dead one. Like I was saying to Frank earlier, yeah, I can go through these things. All these white mark making tools, I blister right through them. Well, we got a new one, so we'll use that. The tricky part is getting it started. Once you get it started, you're good to go. But in the meantime, there we go. Okay. So I'm going to come through here with some highlights. Corbin is helping me. So I'm just going to pull some of these surfaces up a little bit higher. I think it's pretty blown out, and I apologize for that. I don't know if there's a way I can improve that. It's just the camera, and I apologize. So why don't I come in with this red, and that's, yeah, see, it's a softer red than the red of the paper, the cardstock. What's that going to give us, though? I suppose we can get some marks to make out of it. Okay, so I'm just trying stuff right now at this point. Just playing with some of these values and things like that. Because I have a limited palette, I want to see if I can overlap some of these colors and do some blending with them. Oh, that works a little bit. Yeah. So you can never tell what's, when I use these different screens and stuff like that, I always feel like I'm being lost. So I get confused by what screen is this to? Which one should I be looking at to see where I am in the video? Because I was getting confused. There's a time lapse in the one program you use. So we got to start. It's only been a half an hour. I am going to come back in a half an hour from now. I got to go check on our other cat. She's really poorly. And it just made me realize I forgot to check on her before I started the stream. So I think I'll need to do that in a second, but we'll keep going here for a few more minutes, I think. I'm a cat guy. I need to let these dry much more. Yeah, we'll see. Okay. All right. So check back with me in a half an hour, and I should. Yeah, I'll be back then. I'm just gonna go and get this. Check on this cat and see how she's doing, and make sure that everything's going well for her because she's sick. So I'll be back after this. I know, what a pathetic thing, cat, but here I go.